is CGTN, China Global Television Network. Live from London, this is The World Today.
Hello, I'm Jamie Owen. Welcome to the program. Our top stories. Hawaii's wildfires become the deadliest in United States modern history. At least 93 people have died, with a warning the death toll is likely to rise. Our other headlines: the UK government faces mounting pressure over migrant boats, with calls for swift action after more deaths in the English Channel. People in northwest China are moved to safety after heavy rain and mudslides devastates their village. And farming the future, how Germany is planting different crops to cope with climate change. Wildfires on the Hawaiian island of Maui have become the deadliest in United States modern history. At least 93 people have now died, and the state's governor warns that death toll is likely to increase. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for, and authorities say emergency operations are now turning from rescue to recovery. Dogs trained to detect bodies have covered only 3% of the search area so far. More than 2,000 buildings have been damaged or destroyed, hundreds of hectares of land burnt, with the estimated cost to rebuild at $5.5 billion. The fires, fanned by strong winds from a hurricane, ripped through the historic coastal town of Lahaina. Frustration is growing there among residents moved out of their homes who now want to return to their towns to assess what's left. Our correspondent Nitsa Soledad Perez reports.
As the death toll rises, so does the frustration and anxiety of the residents of Lahaina in Hawaii, waiting in line to return home and bear witness to a past burned in flames.
This is my second day trying to get home, and now to be turned around twice because stupid people in Lahaina is not following directions. Now I gotta suffer, my family gotta suffer. Nobody's communicating with the people that's waiting to get into Lahaina. I mean, I know they're busy and they have things to do, but somebody gotta come out and talk to us too, not to be turned around at the last minute saying, oh, the road is closed again, when we're so close to going home. I don't know what to do. I lost everything, and I can't even get back home to help my families out.
Authorities once again closed the access to the historic town of Lahaina. Locals share stories of looting and gun violence. However, officials have not confirmed these reports.
This is nonsense. If you need more authority out there, mayor, governor, anybody, get more authority out there. Keep the damn roads open so we can get through to our families and have freedom to get back to our places of residence or close by, so we can do what we have to do as good people.
Lahaina was home to 13,000 people. Most of them are displaced after the wildfires ravaged part of West Maui for days. Others are still unaccounted for. The War Memorial Gymnasium is providing shelter to hundreds of evacuees. Siali and her family set up tents outside the shelter since it was at capacity.
We're all staying inside this tent right over here. We just came out with this family that I think you interviewed earlier. We all shuttled together in different cars. Some of us didn't have gas, so we all followed each other. Some of us lost our cars because we didn't have gas and hopped into the car with each other. I'm so blessed that me and my family are together, and we weren't like a lot of families that were stuck and had to swim. Like, I couldn't imagine my son swimming and my grandma swimming in the water.
Siali is 8 months pregnant and feels lucky that she made it out alive. The Maui wildfires are now the deadliest natural disaster in Hawaii's history. Nitsa Soledad Perez, CGTN, Maui.
Cole Millington is a Lahaina resident and businessman. He told CGTN's Sally Ahan how he managed to escape the blaze.
At about 4:30 in the afternoon on August 8th, I saw a huge black plume of smoke out of my bedroom window. I happened to look out of my bedroom window and see it. I immediately told my roommates, hey, this looks pretty serious. and we've been having 50-mile-an-hour winds with 90-mile-an-hour gusts all day. We've had severe drought conditions. No rain was happening that day, so I was concerned. I immediately warned my roommates and said we should start thinking about going. Within 10 or 15 minutes, we had to be in our cars peeling out of our driveways because the entire sky was covered in black smoke, and there were down power lines, down trees everywhere. I did not receive a warning until I was already getting in my truck to get out of there. Not a single one of my roommates got a warning at all. We got, the notice we had was just screaming from the streets. I pulled out of my driveway and tried to get on the one road that leads out of Lahaina, and there was already thousands of cars in front of me. It was standstill traffic. In my rearview mirror, you could see fire crossing the road, potentially affecting people and cars in that line. I didn't see people running yet, but I'm sure they did. I have a lifted four-wheel drive truck, so I just started going whichever way I could to get out. And it took us about 3 hours to get to the center of the island, which should be about a 25-30-minute drive.
So incredible that you're able to make that kind of escape. What's the latest on your situation, your home? How badly was your house damaged?
I've seen satellite videos and images. My roommate was able to make it to our house yesterday and get some pictures. My house is completely flattened and leveled onto the ground. There's nothing left. He took a picture of the thousands of bottles of my hot sauce that were in our house because I use it as our storage as well. There's nothing left of my house or my business. There's nothing left of my neighborhood. There's nothing left for my community and my friends. I have dozens of friends who are missing and possibly dead, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I'm incredibly sorry. Where are you staying now, and what kind of support are you getting?
The support I'm getting is from my community directly. That's about it. Maui's coming together so strong. I'm staying on a family farm in Waihehe, Maui. Waihehe, excuse me. And I'm on a family farm in a one-bedroom ohana, which is basically like a little house behind someone else's house. There's 15 of us, roughly, and, situation's not great, but I at least have a roof over my head and safety right now. But I know a lot of people who are just out on the streets, and I know a lot of people on the west side, my friends who can get spotty service, are calling me in the middle of the night saying, hey, what's going on? When are people coming to help? We're out of food, water, propane, safe drinking water to cook and clean, gasoline in case another fire happens for us to escape. They feel that there's absolutely no support on the west side right now, apart from the community, who is me and my friends in our pickup trucks driving supplies in, getting our catamarans and our local companies to start getting boats to deliver supplies to the people. But we feel that the support is lacking immensely, and we're trying to fix that.
And is this something that you've experienced before on the island? Is it prone to fires? Have you, has there been an example of how authorities can or have looked after the community or responded in this situation?
I've never had it anywhere near this drastic, but last October we had a fire near my house and we were ready with go bags. It was a lot further away and there weren't severe winds, so we didn't have to evacuate in that situation, but there's wildfires very frequently. I live in Lahaina, which is just severe drought. It's so brown on our side. We're in a rain shadow from the West Maui Mountains. For warnings and whatnot, I don't know what could have been done better, but I know it could have been done better. There should have been things in place for stuff like this because the county and the people are aware of, the situations like this. We've joked, and it's not a joke anymore. If something happens to Lahaina, there's only one road in and out, and we experienced that, and it caused so much chaos and disaster so fast.
Now the rest of the day's news, and China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has ended his three-country tour of Southeast Asia. His last stop was Cambodia, which coincided with the country's change of government. Wang Yi was the first overseas diplomat to congratulate the incoming Prime Minister. Our correspondent Martin Lowe reports.
Wang Yi's visit to Cambodia has now concluded. The most significant event was his meeting with the Cambodian Prime Minister-elect, Hun Manet. Strongman politician Hun Sen has been Prime Minister here for almost 4 decades. But after winning yet another election in July, he announced he was to stand down and be succeeded by his son. Given the close ties between China and Cambodia, many believe it was entirely appropriate that Wang Yi became the first overseas diplomat to congratulate the new man. China has long been a major benefactor to Cambodia, providing billions of dollars in aid and investment. Support has accelerated under China's Belt and Road. Most recently, China has built Cambodia's first motorway. A second is due to begin construction. Major infrastructure investment also includes bridges, airports, seaports, railways and waste management.
If we look at the policy guidelines of the Cambodian government, infrastructure is one of the key pillars for the economic development. So the development of this infrastructure project will expand, the connectivity, linking Cambodia to the countries in the Mekong and ASEAN at large, which it will promote the attractiveness of Cambodia as one of the destination area. And in addition to that, it supports the community building in ASEAN and also the aspiration of the Cambodian people in linking themselves to the regional and economic supply chains.
Wang Yi held talks with a number of high-level Cambodian government ministers and senior officials from development organizations. Discussions centered on meeting Cambodia's need for growth and jobs. A China-Cambodia economic zone has already seen more than 170 Chinese companies open factories in Cambodia, providing around 30,000 jobs for Cambodian workers. Martin Lowe, CGTN, Phnom Penh.
Heavy rain continues to batter northeastern China as the region grapples with the aftermath of Tropical Storm Kanun and Typhoon Doksuri. 6 rivers have exceeded their warning levels, and one of the major waterways, the Sufen River, almost burst its banks. 18,000 people have been moved to safety in the city of Dongning. And in northwestern China, some residents in Jiangxi province have fled their homes after heavy rain and mudslides devastated their village. 21 people have now been confirmed dead and 6 others are still missing. CGTN's correspondent Jung Song-woo reports.
Before the extreme weather struck, the village on the outskirts of the city of Xi'an was home to around 200 people. On Friday, heavy rain and mudslides destroyed houses and damaged roads, bridges and power infrastructure. Local authorities have helped evacuate the surviving residents as the search for those still missing continues. The local government has temporarily transferred the residents of Weiziping village to several nearby hotels, and now I am at one of the hotels where around 70 people have been housed since Friday, and let's go and see what they think about staying here.
The rain was strong and we were terrified. The village leader warned me and my family, so I left for the hotel driving my car as the rescue vehicles were too busy. 2 houses were covered by mudslides. We wanted to help, but the torrent was too strong. And then rescue workers came. At this hotel, we have meals for free, and we will live here for several days.
The rain was very heavy and strong. It wiped out 2 houses in just a few minutes. My house wasn't badly damaged, but there was water all around my house. The government transferred all of us here using vehicles at 2 a.m. on Saturday. Some of us also drove here too. They provided us with meals, water, as well as medical services here. Everything is for free and it's good.
China's Ministry of Emergency Management has dispatched teams to assist 200 local firefighters with the ongoing rescue efforts in Weiziping village. Soldiers from the PLA and Chinese People's Armed Police Force have also joined the mission. Chen Song, CGTN, Shanxi Province.
Homes and roads have been damaged in India after torrential rain there triggered landslides. Himachal Pradesh state has experienced heavy rain since June and more than 80 people have now died. Local authorities say large areas of farmland has been destroyed and the cost of the damage is expected to top $550 million. Niger continues to experience long power cuts as a result of the sanctions imposed over last month's coup. West African leaders are searching for diplomatic ways to restore civilian rule, weeks after the country's military removed the president. 19 people have been arrested in Spain on suspicion of smuggling migrants into Europe. Police searched 7 properties and seized items including vehicles, mobile phones and storage devices, as well as cash and documents. Europol says the suspected traffickers were part of a larger network, smuggling migrants from Syria, Tunisia and Algeria. You're watching CGTN. Still ahead, small boats crossing and a big political headache. The UK government under renewed pressure over its migrant policies.
Ever wondered what's the difference between a bear and a bull market? Where are the cash cows? And who are the lame ducks? And what exactly are black swans? Grey rhinos? And unicorn companies? Make sense of it all with Global Business, only on CGTN.
There's a new agenda for a new world, accelerating change in almost every part of our lives. It's shifting the norms of how we work, travel, and connect. How we think, interact, and develop. It's a new reality, a new agenda with me, Juliet Mann.
This week on Razor, searching for direct evidence of dark matter by recreating the conditions of the very early universe.
We don't know 85% of the mass of our universe. We know so little about dark matter. Yes, we see some evidences of its existence, but we never had smoking gun proof of the dark matter existence.
Hello, welcome back. A reminder of our top stories. Hawaii's wildfires become the deadliest in United States modern history. At least 93 people have now died, with a warning the death toll is likely to rise. Our other headlines: people in northwest China are moved to safety after heavy rain and mudslides devastate their village. In the UK, there are calls from across the political divide for urgent action on migrant boats after 6 people died crossing the English Channel on Saturday. Campaigners are warning more people will die unless the UK government cracks down on people smugglers and creates safer routes to the UK. The number of channel crossings in small boats has been rising over recent days. 10 vessels were detected on Saturday, carrying more than 500 people. David Dunn is Professor in International Politics at the University of Birmingham.
It's a huge political problem in terms of the visibility of these boats coming in, especially since the government started the week by saying this was Small Boats Week. They were highlighting their successes, and the end of the week has shown anything but successes in terms of the ability to deal with them or the number of people who are arriving by small boats. So it's, despite the cost of living crisis and many other things going on in British politics, this is a hugely symbolic and high-profile issue that the government seems incapable of dealing with, either in stopping the boats coming, in housing the people when they arrive, or dealing with them long term. So the government seems to lack levers to pull to make this problem go away.
Not so easy for the opposition Labour Party either, though. Labour quoted in the papers this morning saying people smugglers are running rings around the UK government. I mean, there's an election in the UK not so far away. Presumably migration and small boats is going to be part of that campaign. This isn't straightforward for the Labour Party either, is it?
No, indeed. And so the Labour Party, the main opposition party, is mainly focusing on the level of incompetence of the government, pointing to their failures of policy to house them on the barge that has Legionnaires' disease, to actually have a long-term strategy to process the people in a decent way, or to deter them from coming or stop them from actually being smuggled by these small boats. But the the question of international migration is an international problem. There were large numbers of people on the move and on the move through Europe. After Brexit, the French are happy to keep them flowing in this direction, and they won't take them back again, so there's a problem there. So there isn't any easy answers to this. What Labour have said is that they would abandon the government's plan to fly asylum seekers to Rwanda to be processed there. But other than that, they haven't really got a set of answers either as to how to deal with this problem.
There's a cost of living crisis, obviously not just in the UK, but it's pretty serious in the UK. There's obviously a climate crisis around the world. Does the UK electorate really care about this migrant crisis?
It's a huge problem in terms of the presentation. So it's costing £6 million a day to house these in hotels. There have been stories of hotels having to cancel weddings because they've taken the government contract to house migrants rather than have hotel parties. It's a problem in terms of local services where they arrive. So, for example, in Dorset, where there's barges, people are saying these people will put a strain on hospital appointments, and doctor's appointments, and dentists, and the like. So it's an issue that has got a salience out of proportion to the impact it's having. But politically, it's a hot potato for the government, and they would like to solve it, but it's not easy to see how they can actually bring an end to this problem.
As you alluded to earlier, this isn't just a UK problem. I mean, it's not even just a European problem. It's an international problem. What is the fix?
Well, other people point to the need to actually spend money on foreign aid in the countries where these people come from to deal with the political instability or the economic problems. The British government, of course, has cut its aid policy and controversially has used a large part of the aid budget to pay for the migrants in the UK rather than actually on trying to actually alleviate the problems in the countries where these people are coming from. But actually, we are in a period of international crisis throughout the Sahel region of Africa, throughout the Mediterranean. The lack of a government in Libya means there's an easy entry point across the Mediterranean. And of course, Brexit means that Britain hasn't any longer an immediate policy and agreement with the return of the people to France. So there is an international problem and a particularly British problem, and it's very difficult to see how you can solve that problem and stop these people coming to the UK in boats.
More police officers in Budapest are resigning than ever before. Long working hours and some of the lowest salaries for law enforcement in the European Union have damaged morale. And the shortage of police officers is now raising concern of a rise in crime. Our correspondent Pablo Gutierrez reports.
Kalman Horvat no longer walks his police beat. For 8 years, he wore the uniform of the Budapest Police Department and patrolled some of the toughest streets in the city. He says he became disillusioned with the work conditions at the department and had to make a choice between doing the job he loved or earning a better living.
If you don't have, for example, a partner or a wife, or you are not living with some other colleagues and share the codes, then I think I can say it's impossible.
Horvat is not alone. Currently, there are 4,500 vacancies in the force, according to the Budapest Police Union. It says some of those posts might never be filled if salaries are not improved. The union claims some city districts have 25% fewer officers compared to the number of policemen on patrol just 2 years ago.
Compared to other European countries, the police profession is not respected as it should be by our legislators. There is a lack of training. We used to have hazard insurance in case of injuries or death, but even that is gone.
Police officers in Hungary are among the lowest paid in the European Union. The starting salary is just $730 a month compared to the EU average of $3,000 a month for new officers. But the Budapest Police Department says its officers received a 10% pay increase 2 years ago and is working to increase its current staffing levels. They indicate that the number of patrols on city streets is sufficient to ensure public safety and the well-being of their officers. Low wages are not the only reasons why many police officers say they are quitting. Hungary's government changed the age of retirement. Previously, officers could start receiving their pensions at the age of 50. Now they must remain on the force until they're 65. Horvat has picked up a new beat since he left the force and turned his passion for Argentine tango into a profitable business.
I'm selling every kind of dance shoes for hobby dances, Latin dances, ballroom dances, but mostly Argentine tango shoes and Argentine tango fashion.
With his police days behind him, Horvat says the only beat he now wants to follow is on the dance floor. Pablo Gutierrez, CGTN, Budapest.
In a changing climate, farming is having to face a future where different crops will have to be cultivated, which are better able to tolerate the hotter weather. While much of Europe swelters in record heat, one plant doesn't seem to mind these soaring temperatures. In Germany, farmers there are growing lavender. Our correspondent Paul Barber explains.
The fragrant flowers of these purple plants are a common sight in Provence. But we're not in France, but in the southern German state of Bavaria. As summers get hotter and the soil drier, German farmer Matthias Tafelmeier has found a blossoming solution for his future, the cultivation of this sand-loving shrub.
It's very dry, and in the last decade, the soil has been very poor, but the lavender can cope with that. And also, there is an ideological reason, to make the landscape a bit more species-rich and to bring new crops that might be good for cultivation in our area over the coming years.
Tafelmeier started cultivating the aromatic plants in 2019 as the soil started to resemble more Mediterranean conditions. Alongside his partner Hildegard, Tafelmeier founded an association to support lavender cultivation and find volunteers for field work. Renouncing commercial production techniques, their profits are helping to promote local products and environmental projects.
We make lavender hydrolate, which is the plant water, and the essential lavender oil. These are the main things. Otherwise, we have lavender sachets, which we fill with lavender straw and lavender flowers, and from the lavender hydrolate, we make various other things, such as lavender aronia fruit spread.
Legend has it that lavender can ward off plagues. While it may not quite do that, the crop seems a wise move for these farmers to mitigate the effects of climate change on their business. Paul Barber, CGTN.
And finally, it's considered one of the best astronomical events of the year. Shooting stars have lit up the night sky during what's known as the Perseid meteor shower. The annual phenomenon brings up to 100 meteors an hour as debris left behind from a comet hits the Earth's atmosphere. This creates bright flashes seen as shooting stars, most visible for those in the northern hemisphere. The headlines again. Hawaii's wildfires become the deadliest in United States modern history. At least 93 people have now died, with a warning that the death toll is likely to rise. Our other headlines: people in northwest China are moved to safety after heavy rain and mudslides devastate their village. And the UK government faces mounting pressure over migrant boats, with calls for swift action after more deaths in the English Channel. And that is The World Today. Thank you for watching. There's more news at the top of this hour. Coming up next, it's Razor. For now, from all of the news team in London, it's goodbye.